right, let's get started. I am Tamika Jameson. A lot of you may know me as Tamika Newhouse. I am a national best-selling author. I've written 17 novels, 5 nonfiction projects. I'm in the process of releasing my second documentary, as well as I'm a producer. I'm a visionary, I'm a creative, and I have been doing this full time since I was 23. Hey guys, we are here live at the Atlanta Book Festival at the Gathering Spot, where I will be presenting the workshop, So You Want to Be an Author. And I'm going to walk around and let you guys see what's going on. So let's dig in. I am going to be presenting this workshop, So You Want to Be a Published Author. A lot of y'all may already be published writers, but if you are not, we're going to dive into what that actually looks like. There's a lot of different layers to publishing, and often we think about just getting the book out there, getting it edited, getting cover art and things like that, but when you put out a book, especially independently, this is a business that you're launching, and often we're not thinking about the business aspect of it. So, all right, let's get started. Welcome to this workshop on the basics of self-publishing. So as an experienced author and a self-publisher myself, I'm excited to share with you the key steps and strategies for successfully bringing your book to the market on your own. We'll also talk about if you are a traditionally published writer as well too. I have personally written, now these are 18 novels. I published well over 350 novels, nearly almost 400. And I started publishing at 21. I'm a young 39 now. All right. So let's go into phase one. So what is a publisher? What a publisher is, essentially, and I like to use metaphors. So I want you to think about the fact that if you were a singer and you wanted to get a record deal. So ultimately, what do? You try to seek out someone that's going to give you a record deal. What does that look like? They're going to fund your project because obviously you want to reach the masses, right? Essentially, just like a record company, a publisher operates the same. They have a built-in network. They have the resources. They have the backing, so they can put you out there, right? That ultimately means they're going to fund your project. That means editing. They're going to take care of it. Your cover art, they're going to take care of it. Your distribution, they're going to take care of that as well. When it comes to a lot of your branding and your likeness, if you are not a popular, like a Jerome Dickey, God rest his soul, or Ted McMillan, they're not about to be putting you on the road like that. There's a lot of writers that come out with books every week, not just every year, every week, because it's a very high in demand industry now. But understand that there's hundreds of books every week that come out, right? So with that being said, if your publisher is not going to actually put a lot of money into marketing your book, how do you make sure that book is successful? This is where self-publishing comes into play. So if you're going to be self-published, that means you're going to do everything that a publisher is supposed to do. That means you're going to fund your editing. You're going to pay for your cover art. You're going to set up your own distribution. So what does that actually look like? So publishing to me is super easy. I could do it in my sleep. I actually published my very first book on my own. I started the process at 20. At 12, I told I was going to grow up and be an authoress. I was going to move to Atlanta because back then Atlanta was like Wakanda. You come here and black folks make it happen, right? Like, it's always been whatever you want to do. It could be in the arts, it could be in the medical field, it could be in law. You can come here and you can thrive. And I told my mother I wasn't going to do that. I didn't want to stay in Texas. And so at 20, I started that process. So I began to Google. Google's always your best friend. So you Google and you understand the steps. I need an editor. Getting an editor is very important. Just because I can edit don't mean I can edit your story. Because you may have a dialect, y'all know, let's say you're from Kentucky. Kentucky got a whole different dialect from somebody from Texas. I may not understand what they are actually saying, right? The same for if someone was from London. They have their own culture, their own experiences. And so if I go get somebody who's from Canada, they live in the mountains, and I want them to edit this urban book, how do I know that she can connect with my characters, how they live, how they talk, how they project, how they dress? You want to make sure that editor can understand your world, right? So just because they are an editor doesn't mean they can edit your projects. That's a very important thing to understand. Then you want to think about your cover art. As a self-published writer, you have to think about all of these things. They say in real life that you can't judge a book by its cover, right? In the book world, we are judging your book by the cover. So if your book cover is dark, and the fonts on it is teeny, I gotta walk up to the book and I'm like, what's that about? Like, or if your book is romance and it's dark. And I'm like, so is it they killing people in here? And what we doing? Your cover art has to actually match what your story is talking about. So you got your editing, you got your cover art. Now you want the interior of your book, the design to look polished, and you get it. So basically, that's what the inside of your book looks like. You're gonna want, this is called typesetting. You're gonna want a really good professional designer to make sure the inside of your book looks good. So all those are the main 3 things that you have to do to get your book together. Easy, right? Edit, cover art, typesetting. Boom, I got a book. Now once your book is together and it's done, now how do I let the people know that it's out there? What I do not want y'all to utilize is a company that says, I'm a publisher book. Now pay me $5,000. If a publisher tells you to pay them money and then wants you to sign a contract, right? And now you gotta pay them some of your royalties, I need y'all go ahead and holler at me. Cause you a little slow. And no, I'm just saying that with love. Cause I want you to process this. You want me to pay you and give you some of my profits? Well, what's in it for me? They're gonna say, well, we're gonna market it, we're gonna publish your book, we're gonna list it on this website. Well, I can do that myself. Everything that technically a publisher can do, you can do. But what makes a publisher worth it is their relationships, is their connections. Do they have, like, look at the artists that are already on their lineup. Like, what does their career look like? Hit them up on Instagram. Email them and ask them about their experience with that publisher. So email them and ask them about their experience. That way you're not making those same mistakes, right? Plenty of writers out there that are published. Ask them, hey, you making money? Often, for the most part, a lot of them are not making a lot of money. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. So you have to actually put in the effort to know, okay, I'm gonna start this process and I'm gonna build up to the point to where I'm gonna start actually making some money. All right, so we talked about self-publisher. You actually own this book. Meaning, if you're gonna be funding everything, that means you get 100% the profits. Now that's the bonus. But now if you are the boss and you are the one that's funding it, that means that you are your brand manager, you're your booking agent, you're your publicist, like you are your advisor, like you are absolutely everything. So this is a process when it comes to being a self-publisher. Everybody's not built for that. But I highly recommend, if you're going to go this route, to study and understand all of these roles, because that is you. I used to call myself an octopus. What do octopus have? All these arms is a different role. And so basically you have to figure out how to maintain and pretty much create a structured schedule to do all of these things. So before investing in self-publishing, a person should take the following steps. Write and revise your book thoroughly. That means read it over and over again, even when after the editing. Because when you put your book into print, if you got a misspelled word, who put that misspelled word in there? Because a lot of people like to blame who? Editor. Right. But did the editor put that misspelled word in there, or did you put that in there? The mistakes start with you. Now, your editor is supposed to be there to help you make sure that you don't have no mistakes in there, but it starts with you. So you want to make sure that you are reading your book thoroughly, and you also want to make sure that you have a friend, someone that's a regular, they enjoy reading. They call these beta readers, or someone just to proof it and just see that if it makes sense. And they're not reading for comprehension. They're not reading to see if your ands are correct and your commas are there. They're reading to make sure that Shirley in the beginning that she was a 6'5", but at the end she 5'8". I also reading the book to see if there was some missing pieces. Like you want to see like what is their feeling, their emotion behind your story. That's where when it comes to developmental editing. Editing is not just about commas and periods. Editing is also about the structure of your story, the development of your characters. So again, this is why it's very important for you to understand that your editor should understand your world and understand your characters as well. Another thing that you should do is research the market and your target audience. I don't like when people say that my book for everybody. So the reason why that's a no-no, because maybe everybody may read the book, right? But you got to start with somebody. If you start out with your marketing journey saying, well, I'm going to just throw out something, see who take it. That's not how you go fishing either. Like, you understand, like, when you go fishing, there's a strategy to it. Maybe you want to go to this type of pond because maybe it's a little more, deep. Or maybe let me go over here because it's a little more shallow and I know that I can catch this type of. So you want to be very strategic with how you go and try to catch your fish, right? Yeah. So when you are marketing, you don't want to say that everybody is your reader, because now you just, one, you may waste a lot of marketing dollars. And then two, it's going to be a lot of confusion when it comes to your marketing. You want to be talking to a specific person. So this is an exercise that I always suggest for people to use. I want you to make up a reader. Make up somebody. what they look like, where do they shop, how old are they, what's their name. And so once you have an idea of who you're actually talking to, then you can actually kind of map out your marketing to that particular person. You got to get somebody talking. So let me start with this person. Let me get them to talk. They'll talk to somebody else, and we'll keep the ball rolling. But if you sit and say everybody, you're gonna make that journey super, super hard for you. So just focus on one demographic, one target audience, one type of person, and then branch from there. Decide on the publishing format, if you want to do print on demand or ebook. Anybody know what print on demand is?
That's where there's only as many books printed as there are ordered. So it's like somebody orders a book, it's printed, it's sent. But you don't have them sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Exactly. So if you choose the other route, what is that called? That's traditional publishing. That's where your publisher come into play. They got the money to print your books in the hundreds and thousands at one time and send it out to bookstores. They have those built-in relationships. Now, do you know your lifeline, your lifespan of how long you have for your book to sit on the bookshelf? It's 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
You got 2 weeks. And so this is the kicker. You have 2 weeks before that bookstore be like, nah, this book ain't gonna sell. You gotta understand this is a business. And a bookstore is gonna wanna bring a book in that's gonna make them some money. So you gotta make sure that your book is attractive, and you gotta make sure that people know your book is in that store. So one, you build relationships with those bookstores. So you build a relationship with a bookstore, one bookstore at a time. I did that. I wasn't trying to hit up 50 bookstores, be like, I can send y'all 10 books, but then they just there, and I'm not telling people to go to the bookstores. I ain't got no book signings there, like, because it's overwhelming, it's a lot. I focus on one bookstore at a time, and I dominate those bookstores, and it create a domino effect. So make sure that you're building those relationships with those bookstores, because when they send those books back, they gonna be like, I heard them books, but I'm not gonna bring them books in. They're not gonna make me no money. They're not gonna support. So always remember that your lifespan, your time on that bookshelf is very, very, very short. This is where strategy comes into play. Now, marketing plan. So how much far in advance do you need to have a plan for your book? So if you want your book to come out in, let's say, in December this month, when should you have started outlining your marketing plan and executing it?
December last year.
That's a good one. 12 months is a very good time span. It's a little ahead of the game, but what you could be doing that most of the time is research. You can already know what bookstores you want to reach out to, what book clubs you want to reach out to, what events you're going to, like, you can start your initial research, and you can start breaking down how much it's going to cost. Naturally, I want you to think about this. When a movie comes out, right, how is those actors already on the cover of the magazine, and that movie just came out this week? Because they plan ahead, right? It's at least 6 months. Anywhere from 3 to 6 months ahead of time. They have already set their marketing efforts, and they know they're gonna execute this and execute that when their project drops. That way, they're gonna hit all those news outlets. You don't hit up your local TV station or your local radio station the week of when your book comes out. Be like, hey, my book just came out. Can I get on your radio station? Can I get on your morning TV show? Because they have their own system as well. You're gonna need to give them at least 3 to 6 months and start to marinate that relationship and send out your inquiries way ahead of time. Is that new information, or did everybody already know that?
New to me.
Okay, I'm trying to make sure I'm telling y'all something new.